Well, it's Friday, and you all know what that means. As you may or may not know, West Coast Pro has celebrated their 6-year anniversary. So that's a quite accomplishment. However, the only way to celebrate this historic moment for them is to give you guys some great matches. For this particular review, we're going to be talking about some of their title matches. Not only title matches within the promotion, such as, of course, the West Coast Pro Tag Team titles, the women's tag team, the women's championship, and the championship itself. We even got the Prestige title as well defended, and the Deadlock Pro Wrestling World Championship as well defended. And we got other special matches as well. And of course, Vinny Masaria does his little special announcement. We'll get to that as well. But we cannot forget, of course, with AEW Rampage, it features matches. As soon as you know, we're heading straight to Wrestle Dream. So anything could happen from here on out before this coming weekend. So that is something we will pay attention to as well. And then, of course, we're going to see who levels up on this latest episode of NXT Level Up. And then, of course, we cap up our episode with some news updates to give you guys updated on what's been going on in the world of pro wrestling, such as what events the promotions are throwing out, who's booked, what matches are set, including developments that are happening in the world of pro wrestling as we speak. So, let's get ready for another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Hey everyone, welcome to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J-Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel where we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, from also from Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK, anywhere in the world where pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also, of course, do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We also, of course, do more news updates. If certain information was unable to be on this episode, I can either put it on the next episode or on a separate video by itself. We also, of course, do real-time news update to keep you guys on alert if something has happened in the world of pro wrestling that needs to be addressed ASAP. We also, of course, got the Unagi Sayaka Watch and various other cool wrestling content as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us or click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool wrestling content as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on a like button or a nice comment in the description down below. Now, all introductions have set aside. In the words of Mr. Jones in the movie Next Friday, it's Friday, we need to get to into the highway. So that's exactly where we're going. So our first review, let's begin with, of course, West Coast Pro. Okay, West Coast Pro, that thing that should not be. This is their 6th anniversary show. Now, I have been watching West Coast Pro for maybe a year and a half or maybe 2, depending how I remember it. But as you all know, recently I went to see them last month when they came here to my hometown of San Diego, California. I'm still trying to work on it, don't worry. Keep the pantyhose on. But however, this one was a special event. As you know, I mentioned it's their 6th anniversary. We have various title matches, and that's exactly what we're going to see. However, our first title match, well, as I said before, there's been titles that are not even part of the West Coast Pro, but West Coast Pro has an alliance with two other promotions, such as Deadlock Pro Wrestling, based out of North Carolina, and of course Prestige Wrestling, based out of Oregon. The first match is a title match, is for the Prestige World Title. We have Ishmael Vaughn taking on Alan Angels. That's right. You may remember him as Five from the Dark Order. So recently he reclaimed this belt after defeating Starboard Charlie during a Marvelous event, and I think I reviewed that one recently. But it was a pretty good match. However, you probably would tell that Alan Angels is trying to make his mark, knowing that he is the boss of Prestige, and he doesn't care where you're from or how you're gonna get this belt, and that's exactly what he did when he applied his spinning heel kick. So during his post match, when he defeated Vaughn, he called out for anybody who's willing to step up, and the person to step up was AJ Gray, so he did that too. Now you would think that AJ Gray would have had the advantage when this match actually happened right away. AJ Gray could have won this match if it wasn't for, of course, Alan J. Angels to push Gray right towards the ref, and then of course the ref did not see the low blow, and then once again the Angels wing was the real benefactor that allowed Alan Angels to retain the belt. So yeah. Now our next match, we have Alec Price versus Jaya Jewel. Match was pretty good. Not to mention, of course, Alec Price dodged at least several attempts by Jaya Jewel with the Gator Roll, which is one of his main ways to secure a win, which was unsuccessful. But however, it was Alec Price with a punt kick that allowed him to pick up the win. Our next match, we have an interesting 6-person tag match. Bodie Young Prodigy, who makes his debut, he teams up with Princess Azul and of course Leon Slater. They take on Toxin, Prometeo, and of course Hyan. Match was pretty good. I think it was really fun. But however, this one really ended with, of course, Leon Slater with his amazing ability with the Swanton 450. That was the real factor, and he applied that to Toxin. So, as you know, Leon Slater has been really impressive just by watching what he can do. Now, our next match is for the Deadlock Pro Wrestling World Championship. We have, of course, Shigehiro Iri from Japan. He takes on Heavyweight Hustle, Calvin Tankman. Now, you would think that this was a Hoss match. Yep, it was. It was the power. It was powerhouse as well in this match as soon as possible. Some of you may have think that, okay, this match would have won with Iri, but no, Calvin Tankman has proven why he is who he is. That's why the reason to call him Heavyweight Hustle. He picked up the win when he applied the Tankman driver. And just like that, he retained the belt. Our next match, we have Johnny Robbie taking on Sandra Moon. Well, this match was based on, of course, Johnny Robbie to run her mouth about Sandra Moon, and this is where we end up. Now, of course, Johnny Robbie was losing her own composure, not paying attention to what she's doing herself. But this allowed for, of course, Sandra Moon to apply a gut wrench move, a slam on her, and just like that, she beat her. Now, this match was no significance of like a number one contenders, but it's not. So we'll get to that. Our next match, this is another title match. This is for the West Coast Pro Tag Team titles in a San Francisco street fight. We have, of course, Starboy Charlie and Titus Alexander taking on the LA Boys of Suavecitos. Now, as you all know, this match was in San Francisco. Suavecitos represent LA, trying to prove that LA is the more dominant group out of all of them. And of course, you can hear the people saying FLA. I mean, if you guys are from San Diego area, you know what I'm talking about. And I don't know if I have any LA subscribers. You probably know the feeling when you got people saying things like that. But yeah, that's what it was. However, of course, this was a street fight. That means Adrian Quest was involved. I forgot the other two guys' names. But basically, it was getting in the way too many times. They almost had this match because, of course, you would have thought they found a way to get rid of Adrian Quest to ensure he stays down long enough for them to hopefully win the tag belts. But Adrian Quest pulled the referee aside and just make sure it doesn't end that way. And then he tried again when he tried to whack Starboy Charlie with the baseball bat. But out of nowhere, Chigusa Nagayo, the matriarch of Marvelous, showed up. And of course, she took matters in her own hands and whacked Adrian Quest with the baseball bat, giving, of course, Starboy Charlie and Taz Allen to finish the job, putting one of the guys in the table, leaving Starboy Charlie to apply the shooting star press, and bam! Just like that, 1, 2, 3, brand new tag team champions, and we can say, finally, someone put the Suavecitos in their places. So they were practically annoying. That's what was going on. But however, the best moment, and I think this one made me cry, yes, I'm willing to say it in front of you guys, was Nagayo. Chigusa Nagayo was talking about what is the tag name for both Titus and Starboy. So it was like they didn't have one. So she had a good idea. And she was telling the fans she had a great idea. So their tag name is now Crush Boys. Now, some of you are saying, why would she name the Titus and Starboy the tag name Crush Boys? Well, here's the interesting part. Those who are big fans of Yoshi Wrestling, you know the history of Chigusa. She had a tag partner, and their tag name was Crush Gals. So it was more like a reference to her her tag team days, and she thought, why not? So she gave the name Crush Boys to Starboy Charlie and Titus Alexander. And it kind of made me cry because it made me feel like Chigusa's played like a mother figure for both Titus and Starboy Charlie, and I think they owed her for not only helping them out, but also giving the blessing to kind of like using a name that reference to what she did back in the day. And I can't wait to see what they're going to do. But there's no doubt in my mind that Suavecitos will get revenge and, of course, get their tag belts. But we'll see when that day comes around. Now, our next match, we have the debut of Mad Dog Connolly taking on Alpha Zoe. Now, I don't know much about Mad Dog Connolly, but this guy was a savage. He was wrestling barefoot in case anybody noticed. But, however, Alpha Zoe was the homegrown wrestler, and he was able to pick up the win when he applied a lariat. But, however, he tried to show respect to Connolly, but Connolly was like, acted like he cared about respect, and then he whacked him, and then he grabbed his chain, tried to break him, tried to hurt him even more. But, however, he just walked away as soon as the official showed up to try to tell him to stop. Now, this was announced recently, and I put this on the news update about maybe a week or so ago. Vinny Massari, who many of you I mentioned that I met him before, he had something to say. I don't know what he was, but he was respectfully interrupted by Chris Hero, and he announced that he is setting up a brand new title called the West Coast Pro Golden Gate Championship. Now, they still haven't decided what it is. Now, Chris Hero is having that distinct feeling that maybe Vinny Massario is considering retiring. I'm not sure, but he's probably giving him that temptation. You know you want this title, Vinny. You know this is something mean to you. So that's pretty much it. So he walked away, respectfully. But however, Aaron Solo showed up. I don't know what he was intending to do. So he was trying to tell him that you're not the same Vinny Massario that I remembered. And then, of course, after that, Vinny just walked away, and then he crossed the line by bringing his personal life into the mix, talking about his ex-wife, and then all hell broke loose. I did not anticipate that and just went out. Even Chris Hero tried to lay down the law and then kick out Aaron Solo through the front door and lock him up. So, trying to keep him out. So, we'll see what happens, but I wouldn't be surprised if Vinny is demanding a match against Aaron Solo. So, we'll see where that leads us from there. Now, our next match is a double main event. We have the West Coast Pro Championship on the line. Jake Something taking on the aesthetic crippler, Kevin Blackwood. Now, of course, we know that Kevin Blackwood could find ways easily to get out of this one, but when it comes to Jake Something, You know he's a big powerhouse in pro wrestling. How he is. You would have thought that somehow this guy would have been able to put away him. No, the moment it changed when, of course, Jake something was about to do an avalanche suplex off the corner side of the ring, but it did not do because somehow Blackwood was able to invert it into a stomp, and just like that, he retained the belt. Now for our main event, it's the West Coast Pro Women's Championship. We have Zara Zacher versus Takumi Iroha. Now, those who know this or not, I actually met her in person. Sarah Zacher, I have to say, she's an awesome individual. She is such a cool person to talk to, and I'm glad that I got to meet her. I do have a picture of her, and I'll put it up at some point, but I'll let you guys know. But anyway, the match was great, I have to say. But those who know this, and even any subscribers here in San Diego should know she's from here, from San Diego. And I was happy. But the one thing that was surprising is the way she defeated her by putting a cutter on her and becoming the brand new West Coast Pro Women's Champion. And then, of course, Takumi Iroha put the belt onto her and then do the respect, the bowing respect that we normally see in Japanese culture. And just like that, she's our brand new champion. I just can't wait to see what's going to happen with her. And of course, we know that there'll be challengers along the way, the challenger for the belt. But we will see when that day comes. But for now, I'm happy with certain matches. I mean, happy that now the Crush Boys defeated Suavecitos, becoming the brand new West Coast Pro Tag Team Champions, and of course, Zara Zacher becoming the West Coast Pro Women's Champion. So, I'm so excited for that. So, I think we are done with West Coast Pro. I believe it's time for AEW Rampage. Okay, AEW Rampage. We opened up with the conglomeration, more specifically with Kyle O'Reilly and Orange Cassidy, taking on the Undisputed Kingdom, Mike Bennett and Matt Taven. Now, it's not the first time these guys tango with each other, because we know that, of course, the Undisputed Kingdom are not too big fans of Orange Cassidy, but they are good friends with Kyle O'Reilly, and they're trying to tell him, leave the conglomeration. What are you doing, bro? But of course, we have seen how Kyle O'Reilly and Orange Cassidy, they were able to coexist very well. And of course, we saw where Kyle O'Reilly was able to apply the guillotine headlock onto Bennett and force him, sorry, good night. And just like that, it was over by submission. Now, of course, we have Renee Paquette conducting an interview with none other than the CEO, Mercedes Moné, along with Camille. Now, of course, they talk about her match she had with Emi Sakura for the double championship that took place. And of course, Mercedes Moné was okay about that. But however, there is still one thing that they need to understand. Camille needs to contend with none other than Kris Statlander. As you know, Kris Statlander has been proven that she is the strongest individual, but Camille doesn't believe that. She thinks that, you're not in that level as her. But we will see what happens, because she will observe her in her upcoming match. Now, the Acclaim were making their way to the ring. However, they were a bit viciously attacked by MXM Collection. Now, as you know, recently they kind of gave his jacket, Max Caster's jacket, a makeover. But this time they had enough. Like, MXM just felt like they want the Acclaim people to stop loving them, no more scissors. And they mentioned that they will meet up with them at Wrestle Dream, but they even talk about a third man in the corner. Now, we don't know who that person is, but we will see when that day happens. Now, once again, of course, Renee Paquette does another interview with the conglomeration minus Mark Briscoe. Of course, Rocky Romero has to contend with none other than Brian Keith. As you know, Jericho was calling him that he is the conglomeration's lackey. Rocky does not consider that himself, but wants to show them what that means. But we will get to what that he is part of the conglomeration, not as a, someone who does their dirty work. Now, our next match, we have Kris Statlander versus Amira. Well, Camille was watching this, but this match ended with Saturday Night Fever, just like that. I don't know if Camille is impressed or what, but sooner or later, those two will meet up. Now, of course, speaking of what's going on with Brian Keith, Chris Jericho was interviewed by Renee Paquette, talked about the upcoming match against Mark Briscoe for the ROH World Title. Now saying that soon he will be calling himself El Nueve. And of course, talk about Briscoe and all that, so we will see where that leads us to. Now we have Beast Mortos taking on the Butcher. Now in the commentary, Roderick Strong was there in support of Beast Mortos because he's not happy with the fact he's hanging out with Rush and Dralistico. But we'll see what happens. But it was Beast Morto that did like a fly headbutt on the Butcher, allowing himself to pick up the win. But of course, Roderick Strong was happy. But I don't know what goes on in the mind of none other than, of course, Jake the Snake Roberts. We'll get to that. Now, Renee Paquette does an interview with Harley Cameron. Apparently, she is now saying some things about Anna Jay, about, oh, whoopee-doo that you went to Japan, all of this. So, they seem like they may have a feud between them. Our next match, we have Lance Archer versus Matt Brannigan. Well, this one, you can tell, this one ended with Lance Archer when he applied the blackout. And just like that, it was over. Now, as you know, we saw what happened this past Wednesday. We saw that now that ever since the exchange with Jake the Snake Roberts and Don Callis, Lance Archer is now part of the Don Callis family. But the real question is, who did he get in return? Well, the answer to that was Rush, his brother Listico, and now Beast Mortos, known as now the newly version of La Facción Ingobernable. So, of course, they're sending the message now. They're saying, we're not here to make the rules. We're not binding the rules. What rules? They're for kids. So they're putting the entire locker room on notice. So we will see what happens from here on out. Now, of course, Anna Jay was in an interview with Renee Paquette, hearing what Harley Cameron said about her. So there's going to possibly be a match taking place in Wrestle Dream. I'm not sure if it's in the main card or in the 0 hour, but we will find out. Now, our main event is Brian Keith versus Rocky Romero. Now, things would have gone well if it wasn't for the interference of Big Bill, and then Brian Keith applies the diamond dust onto Rocky to pick up the win. And then, of course, Orange Cassidy and Kyle O'Reilly showed up to ensure that nothing goes wrong with Rocky after they defeated him. But, however, we'll see what happens this coming Sunday, because, as you know, Mark Briscoe will be facing Jericho to hopefully retain the ROH World Championship. So, yeah. I think that's pretty much it right now with AEW. So let's move on with NXT Level Up. Okay, so who levels up on this latest episode of NXT Level Up? Well, let's find out. Our first match, we have Tatum Paxley versus Kylie Armstrong. Now, Kylie Armstrong may look strong and all that, but Tatum Paxley, we know what she's capable of. Now, I was surprised to see her. I didn't think, recently she made an appearance in Raw, but I thought she was going to go back to her honeymoon, but looks like she decided to make a visit. But however, it was a pretty good match, but it seems like Kylie Armstrong seems like she had everything under her control, but however, it was Tatum Paxley that overturned it when she applied the Psycho Trap, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. She wins the match. Now, we do see two different sides that will lead us to the main event. We have, of course, Stevie Turner had little talks with Gallus, more specifically Mark Coffey and Wolfgang, telling them that they will be involved in a match against Cutler James and Shiloh Hill. Now, Shiloh Hill and Cutler James also got the same talk from Mr. Stone. So basically, I don't know if Mr. Stone and Stevie build some boundaries, but we'll see what happens. But of course, the main event was Gallus, more specifically Mark Coffey and Wolfgang taking on Cutler James and Shiloh Hill. However, of course, in this type of match, when it comes to the Gallus, there's only one X factor in this, and this is, of course, Joe Coffey, who is ringside to ensure this match. But it was Wolfgang that allowed him to pick up the win onto Cutler James, and just like that, it was over. So we'll see what goes on with Gallus boys, who are directly sending a message to the rookies. So until then, we'll end things here with NXT Level Up and proceed with some news updates. Okay, so welcome to our news updates. So let's begin with upcoming events from the promotions themselves, starting with GCW. As you know, we will have the upcoming event, the Fight Club Night 1 for this Saturday. We have the JCW title. Masha Slimes defends the belt against Kerry Morton. And then, of course, on the 19th of October, the Blood on the Hills, it was announced that Scorpio Sky will be making his debut. And then on the 14th of November in Louisville, Kentucky, John Wayne Murdoch will be facing against Larry D. And then finally, the Gateway to Death that will take place in St. Louis on November 15th. We have Mike Bailey taking on the Pink Striker, Miyu Yamashita. That's going to be a fun match because I know they're both their backgrounds. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Now, as you know, we got the Forge in Excellence from the Canadian promotion Maple Leaf Pro for their 2-day event on October 19th and 20th. They just announced a very interesting type of match. Basically, you could call it Canada versus USA as much as you want. On the Canadian side, we have the Walking Weapon, Josh Alexander, Stu Grayson from the Dark Order, and of course Evil Uno's tag partner, and of course LP will be there. So we have 3 Canadians in the same team. And then we have, for the other team, we have To the Moon. That's right, Trevor Lee, formerly known as Cameron Grimes. He'll be teaming up with Asuka, Rocky Romero, and then of course the Sauce, Alex Zane. So that's going to be a lot of fun to watch. Beyond the Wrestling has announced for their upcoming event on the 20th of October for the Naya Riart Hopte. I don't know how to pronounce it. Drew Gulak will be facing against Masha Slavic. So that's going to be a very interesting. Now, finally, this one is a very interesting. If you may have heard of this promotion called Violence and Suffering, they just announced that they, effective on November 22nd, they will now rename themselves called Arrival Wrestling. So that will be their official, well, they kind of rebrand themselves now. So Violence is Forever is no longer be an effective name anymore for their brand. Now they'll be calling themselves Arrival Wrestling. It will take effect on November 22nd. But however, this will be, of course, part of their show known as Arrival 3. And this is where, of course, they announced that Michael Oku will be making his debut as well. So I'm looking forward to that. Now, I think we are done with the promotions. Let's talk about, of course, some developments. Many of you remembered Yoshi wrestler Ibuki Hoshi, who is 20 years old, was recently the Ice Ribbon Ice Infinity champion, who recently, not about 9 months ago or so, had to relinquish the belt due to she found out she was pregnant with her child. It was announced that she gave birth to her baby girl. Very healthy. She is okay. I don't know how long will Ibuki Hoshi will be out. I'm sure right now her mother, who's also a wrestler too, Mama Hoshi, I'm sure she's excited to see it. And of course, Fujimoto, who's been like a second mother to her, I'm sure everybody's happy for her. So I want to say congratulations, Ibuki. You're going to be an excellent mom. And I wouldn't be surprised if your daughter decides to follow the family footsteps too. So that'll be fun. Fightful Selects reports that Thunder Rosa is now medically cleared from her concussion. So basically, as you know, recently someone saying that she was cleared, that was a load of horse crap. So needless to say, whoever said that was an oxymoron. Uh, as you know, MJF has been out of action for a while, but not due injury, due to some other commitments outside of wrestling. It was revealed that he was involved in Happy Gilmore 2 and another movie that he'll be starring real soon, starring Justin Long and Ron Perlman. So that's pretty much what we do know. Hornswoggle, it was announced that, of course, WWE had signed a Legends contract. So yep, so we're getting these Legend contracts coming left and right. And then finally, well, not finally, we also have Jimmy Jacobs. As you know, he is a well-respected wrestler, but also a writer and producer in the pro wrestling world. It was announced officially that he left AEW. So it's kind of interesting to hear that, but we'll see where that goes from them. And then finally, we're going to give another congratulations. As you know, recently, West Coast Pro had a marvelous tryout in their academy. The two winners for both the men and the women, we have Amira and, of course, Fancy Ryan Clancy. So they won the tryout for both West Coast Pro and Marvelous, and they'll be heading to Japan for 3 months. Hopefully, we'll see some Marvelous events, and I can't wait to see that too. So I think that's pretty much it what we have for that. But for now, we'll end things here, and of course, we'll just call it a day. Okay, so I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, as you know, we have AEW Wrestle Dream. That's going to be a very interesting event to watch. Hopefully, I get to review that as soon as possible. I do know, as we speak, we have, well, recently there was a Stardom event that took place on Thursday, I believe. On Friday, well, I haven't seen it yet, but hopefully I get to see it. And then there's another one coming up real soon as well. So we'll see what happens from there on out. Right now, I'm still deciding on what other events. There's one that I haven't seen yet, which we see Progress Wrestling, Noah, and of course, Defy. So that's something we will be seeing as well. So we'll see what happens. But of course, Wrestle Dream is on the top priority. So until then, I will see you guys in the next DWZ time, same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye, and have a nice day. Bang.